Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today's video is going to be all about your makeup and beauty community related hot takes, your unpopular opinions. I did a video like this about a year ago, and it was definitely inspired by Emily Noel. She did a video like this last year, and a bunch of people did similar ones, and I wanted to do a part 2 just because it's been a while, and last week I did a video talking about some of my own unpopular opinions, and so I wanted to kind of turn it over to you guys and hear some of yours. So I'm going to be talking about those today. I asked you guys on both my YouTube community tab and also on my Instagram stories. So I've got a bunch to talk about, and I'm going to be doing a look also while I'm talking, just because I thought that would be fun, and I really wanted to make sure that I did at least one look on camera using my palette, my 1 month 1 palette, which is the Anastasia Subculture palette. So I'm thinking I'm going to go pretty bold today. Pretty bold. I think I'm going to do my eye makeup first. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start over on my community tab and then we'll go over to Instagram. Gail says, not doing brows. Everyone always talks about how they will do brows if nothing else, but I prefer them not done on myself so they do not look fake. I am definitely one of the people that will do brows if nothing else. If I'm in a hurry and I'm just like going to run errands, the only things I'll do is brows and mascara. So I'm definitely one of those people who relies quite a bit on brows. But funnily enough, brows are actually my least favorite step of my makeup routine. I hate filling in my brows, but my natural brows are, I don't love my natural brows, to be completely honest, so I am definitely the opposite there, but I can understand that because I think filling in your brows can definitely look unnatural really quickly, depending on the type of product you're using also. Katie Noel said, the word flawless. I'm sorry, but I want us all to look real, maybe a little help with makeup, but still like a real person. That is a good point. I haven't really thought about that myself, but I definitely agree. The word flawless is thrown around a lot, especially I think in like makeup advertising and just a lot in the beauty community. It's kind of just a word that you hear thrown around a lot, but you're right. I mean, there's really no such thing as completely flawless skin, even if you're using the most full coverage foundation, the most smoothing primers. Like, there's just no such thing as flawless skin. Yeah, I think using the word flawless sets kind of an unrealistic standard for people to try to keep up with, and that's not to be one of those annoying people that's like, oh, you women should stop wearing so much makeup, because I love makeup and that's not going anywhere. But if we all just kind of embraced our imperfections, like, things like acne and texture and pores, all things that are perfectly normal and just part of having human skin, I think we'd all be better off. I really like this one because it kind of goes against a lot of other people's unpopular opinions. The Paper Llama says, makeup having to look natural. I see a lot of people, especially mentioning their unpopular opinion is preferring to not use highlighter because it doesn't look natural, but I guess mine is not minding if my makeup doesn't look completely natural. Of course I want my makeup to look good and I don't want blotches and stripes all over, but I don't mind if my highlight looks like highlighter. And I don't mind if my blush color doesn't look like a real color that would come from my cheeks. I hope this is making sense. And that absolutely does make sense. I think that is a really good point, because I do think that now people are definitely moving towards the kind of no makeup, glass skin, natural looking makeup. And I love that style as well. I feel like I like both. Like, I like the no makeup looks, and I appreciate the skill it takes to create a look like that, where you truly look like you're not wearing any makeup. But I also love a full glam, glittery makeup look. And when I'm wearing full glam, or even when I'm wearing lighter, more quote-unquote natural looking makeup, I don't necessarily expect people to believe that I'm not wearing makeup. When I have mascara on, you can tell I'm wearing mascara. You can obviously tell that my eyelashes are not naturally black. When I'm wearing a pretty intense highlighter, I don't expect anyone to be fooled. But of course I want it to still look good and blended and everything. But yeah, I think this person has a really good point. Like, not everyone's goal with makeup is for it to look natural. Maybe that is your goal with makeup, and that's totally fine too. When I'm wearing like dark green and teal eyeshadow, I don't expect anyone to be thinking that that's what my eyelids naturally look like. So this is one, I got a couple of these. I personally don't understand why some influencers obsess over everything being full coverage, and if it's not, they automatically assume it's a bad product. Even when a product isn't advertised as full coverage, they do this. Like, I have nothing against using full coverage products, but I feel like they take this obsession a bit too far. I'm sure we all follow different influencers, and I don't feel like this is something that I've personally seen happen with the people that I follow. If anything, I feel like people have been moving away from caring about full coverage as much. I definitely am someone who complains about things not being full coverage, but when I do, it's when a product is advertised as full coverage and it's not. That bothers me. That happened recently with the Jordana Complete Cover 2-in-1 foundation. It says that it's like full coverage, maximum coverage, and if anything, it's like maybe medium coverage. And my problem, because for me, I don't really even want full coverage foundation most of the time. I like to have the option, but I don't care if it's not full coverage, but just tell me what I'm getting myself into. If it's buildable medium coverage, that's what I prefer anyway, so why not just call it that? Because I feel like that's what a lot of people like, is just a nice skin-like medium coverage. Why not just advertise it that way? And same thing with concealers. Like, I have a couple of concealers that, like the Pacifica one that I have says, you know, full coverage, and it's not full coverage at all. It's like light to medium coverage at best. And it just irritates me so much. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. But I hear what you're saying. I don't think everything needs to be full coverage, and if something is not advertised as full coverage, why would you expect it to be? And that kind of goes along with another one that says, I've seen influencers bash a product by saying it's not pigmented when the name of the product implies it's not meant to give you full opaque color. That's a really good point as well. I think reviewers need to review things according to the product's claims and not according to what maybe they would want out of a product. Like, if you're reviewing a skin tint, review it like it's meant to be a light coverage product. Okay, Megan Wallendorf says, I'm not a fan of overlining the lips, never have been. Perhaps there are instances where you are simply making things look even. I can understand that. But for any other reason, it just looks off. There are so many beautiful ladies that do it, and I just don't see the need. They all looked great before they went outside the True Lip line. I definitely do think that it can look extreme. I feel like this trend has been dying down too, though. I actually do occasionally overline my top lip, but it's to even things out, because my top lip is just smaller than my bottom lip, and sometimes I just like to create the illusion that my top lip is just a little bit larger than it is. I like to think that when I do it, it doesn't look overly extreme, but I'm sure some people would disagree. I think, you know, people should just do what they want. If you love the look of your lips overlined, then just keep doing it. I mean, it's just makeup. I'm trying to get more use out of the shade Destiny there. I've only used it once so far, and my goal was to use every shade 3 times. Also, spoiler, you guys see that pan there? Destiny is my least favorite shade in this palette. It's funny, I have a friend named Destiny, and I love her, but I do not love the shade Destiny in this palette. It's just, that color just doesn't look good on my skin tone, so that's why I'm using it as a base and topping it with Electric. Here's one from Emma Thomas. She said, if the shade range for a new product is notably bad, content creators shouldn't review it, even if they give a disclaimer and ask the brand to expand the range. And I definitely agree. I'm guilty of this actually even recently, because I reviewed that Jordana foundation. I tried it in my full face of Jordana video, and I reviewed it in my last speed reviews video. And I agree, and I almost feel a little icky about even including that product. It's not the worst shade range ever, but it only comes in 12 shades, and it's definitely very skewed towards light shades. There's only like a couple of deeper shades, and it doesn't go deep enough. So I really wanted to do a full face of Jordana, and that was the only foundation they had that was even a little bit of an okay shade range, but still really not okay. Maybe I should have not included that foundation at all. I definitely feel kind of icky about even recommending that foundation or talking about it on my channel, because it's just not, it's not an inclusive shade range. So yeah, let me know if you would even want to see that foundation on my channel at all. I can definitely, you know, just declutter it, give it to someone else in my life who would use it, but because I like the foundation itself, believe it or not, but I do feel kind of gross about it. So yeah, anyway, I do agree with this person. Oh, this is a really good one. Emily says, the naked palettes are not supposed to be super colorful. I see them as a starter guide to a specific color, and you do not need every release ASAP. It's okay to wait a while. And yes, I definitely agree with both, especially the one about the naked palettes. It really tickled me how upset people were about the Naked Ultraviolet palette not being like a full-blown purple palette, because, you know, it had, you know, quite a few purples in it, but it also had a few just kind of like beigey, peachy matte shades. I don't really get why people were upset, because it's literally part of the Naked series. So it's not meant to be like full-blown color. And Urban Decay has done some colorful palettes that are not part of their Naked line, like the electric one. They've had several different like really colorful palettes, but that's not what the Naked series is for. And I actually thought that the color story of the Ultraviolet palette was really nice. I didn't purchase that palette because I don't really wear purple eyeshadow that much, but when I do wear purples, I actually really like to blend those out with kind of a peachier shade in my crease, because I just feel like it kind of it warms things up and balances things out a little bit. I actually thought that their choice of shades for that palette it made sense to me, but yeah, I completely agree. I wish people would stop critiquing the Naked palettes for not being like the full-on color that they want, because that's just not what that series is for. It makes no sense to me. So thank you. Okay, this one was interesting to me. People going cruelty-free just for the trend. Do people actually do that? I was not aware that that was an issue. And also, I don't really get why anyone would go cruelty-free just for the trend anyway. Like, why would you want to restrict your choices for no reason? But also, I mean, I guess if people really do that, then the more the merrier. I don't know. I just wasn't aware that that was an issue to begin with. Karen says, beauty gurus should disclose cosmetic procedures. And I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm someone that is like, you know, you do you. I don't have any problem with people getting cosmetic procedures done. But I also agree that it should definitely be disclosed if you are reviewing, well, definitely reviewing any sort of skincare product, because I feel like that's just really helpful information. But someone else actually commented on here and said, other than improving everybody's self-esteem and body image, I feel like this would just be more practical. Like, if a person says that they get Botox every month, then I know that their skin is not the result of some magical skincare routine, and that if I want a similar effect, Botox is the way to achieve that. And yeah, I agree. They said it better than I said it. I feel like it's the ethical thing to do, especially if you are reviewing products. Okay, here's one that I feel like somebody always says this. YouTube is way too oversaturated with review videos and not enough tutorials. And I guess I'll just throw in my 2 cents. I feel like every YouTuber says the same thing to this kind of a statement. Unfortunately, at least on my channel and most channels, tutorials just don't get views. And, you know, I feel like there's this idea people have that YouTubers shouldn't care about the views, they should just do what people ask for, and I don't know, if I'm being honest, I want views. Like, I make videos because I want people to watch them, and if a tutorial on my channel is gonna get 800 views, but maybe speed reviews aren't even my most viewed videos, but my more viewed videos are things like project pans, empties, which is a form of review, and, you know, review videos as well. If those videos are getting 3,000 to 6,000 views on average, which videos am I going to prioritize making? As much as this is a fun hobby for me, it's also a lot of work. I mean, putting together a video takes hours, and it is work, and I'm going to prioritize the videos that I feel like are worth the time. Every YouTuber says the same thing, and that is, you know, tutorials are the most requested videos and they get the least views. It must just be the vocal minority that really loves tutorials. And also, though, there still certainly are channels that focus more on tutorials. It's kind of like, it really depends on what your audience has come to your channel for. My channel is just not a tutorial or technique-based channel, because I am not a makeup artist. I'm just kind of your everyday consumer who loves makeup, enjoys playing around with makeup, but I don't actually know very much about proper application and things like that. But I think that those tutorial-based channels do still exist. You kind of just have to seek them out. And usually they are actual, like, professional, trained makeup artists. And a few that I know of that do definitely still do tutorials are Robert Welsh. He is a professional makeup artist. He does a lot of tutorial-based videos and sort of like makeup application techniques and tips. Wayne Goss, Julia Adams, MUA. I don't think tutorials are a thing of the past per se. I think you kind of just have to seek them out. But I think most channels find more success with review-based content, and that just, I guess that just means that there's more of a demand for reviews nowadays. Heading over to Instagram now. I'm tired of hearing about Natasha Denona eyeshadows. Yeah, I think there's two kinds of people. People who are obsessed with Natasha Denona and people who don't care. I'm definitely team don't care. Like, yeah, I kind of agree. I'm kind of tired of it too. But at the same time, there is apparently a huge market for Natasha Denona reviews, and that's why there is so much hype, I think. It's just because a lot of people love Natasha Denona. I'm sure her eyeshadows are fantastic. I just don't really have much interest in trying it just because it's just too expensive, really. Another one about full coverage. I don't understand the obsession that some influencers have with full coverage products. Is it just me? I feel like people aren't as obsessed with full coverage as they used to be. I feel like we've been kind of moving away from that for a while. But again, I'm sure we all just kind of watch different people, so I'm sure there are still a lot of people that do. I just, maybe I'm not the one watching them. Nose contour always looks bad in real life. Don't know why everyone does it. I feel like no one does nose contour anymore. Like, is that still happening? Once again, I'm not seeing that happening. But I agree, it's pretty hard to make nose contour look good in real life. Bias exists. Sometimes I feel like YouTubers can forget the value of $1 with PR. And that is absolutely true. I think I've definitely had this problem where I have received something in PR and just not been quite as aware of the cost because I didn't actually spend my own money on it. And so it's something that I have to be really conscious of and kind of almost put myself in the shoes of someone who has just purchased this product with their own money. And it's possible to review, I believe it's possible to review PR products from an unbiased standpoint. But another unpopular opinion that I have that I feel like relates to this is that smaller creators are not necessarily less biased than macro influencers. Smaller creators can actually be even more biased because they may not be as used to receiving PR, and they may just feel really, really excited and flattered to be getting PR from, you know, a big company. So you kind of have to take that into account too. I feel like people automatically assume that all small creators are just unbiased and, you know, they're not in it for the money the same way that large creators are. And, you know, that may be true, but I don't think all large creators are untrustworthy, and I don't think all small creators are as trustworthy as people paint them to be. That same person said, I still enjoy full coverage. I like light coverage too, but full coverage isn't bad. Agreed. I like having both. I don't know why. It's interesting the way that trends work, but it's like, a lot of people said that they are tired of full coverage and they're tired of people obsessing over full coverage, when I feel like most people are team skin tint and light coverage and natural, no makeup, which I'm all about that trend, but I also still enjoy a full coverage look, depending on, you know, if I'm going full glam, like today, this eye look would not look right with a skin tint. At least on my skin, because I feel like I need to even it out a little, you know? I also think that full coverage can look really natural. I really like the Pacifica A Light Clean Foundation. I actually mixed this today with the Balm Shelter Tinted Moisturizer. I'm just really trying to use up this tinted moisturizer before my next Project Pan update, but I love this foundation on its own. You do have to kind of prep your skin for it and know how to apply it so that it doesn't look unnatural, or unnatural. I guess we talked about how that doesn't really make sense. So that it doesn't look cakey. But I still like a good full coverage, full glam look too. You can have both. You can like both for different occasions. Another one from the same person. Beauty creators who say, I have so much makeup because I have a channel. LOL, that irritates me. I agree to an extent. I feel like as a YouTuber, I can kind of see both sides. I will say I would not have as much makeup as I have if I didn't have a channel. And that is because I like reviewing products. I think that my channel would get kind of stale and boring if I was only using the same like 2 blushes and 2 eyeshadow palettes in every single video. And you know, you might completely disagree and prefer channels that only have like 1 thing in each category or 1 or 2 things in each category. And you know, you may just have to seek out those channels. There was another one actually on YouTube that I kind of wanted to mention. Creators trying to excuse their over-purchasing by saying it's for a review. There are thousands of channels who've already done a review. Stop putting yourself in more debt than you need to. And looking from the perspective of an everyday consumer, that makes a lot of sense. But also, you don't necessarily know that that person is putting themselves in debt. I know there have been creators who have kind of come out and shared how trying to start out on YouTube has put them into a ton of debt, which, you know, I'm not trying to take away from their experience, but you don't necessarily know a person's financial situation unless they've explicitly told you. And review channels are highly, highly successful. You know, a lot of people really succeed on YouTube because they are one of the first people to put out a review on a new hyped up product. They might kind of jump through hoops to make sure that they're the first person to review it. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing or not. I think that that's kind of just the way that things are. Even mid-sized channels may be making a lot more money on YouTube than you might realize because they are playing that game of reviewing new products. And that's not the direction that I have chosen to take my channel in. I feel like I'm kind of a combination between project panning and makeup, not minimalism, but having a curated smaller collection than a lot of YouTubers, but also still reviewing products. And if that's not your style of video, then that's perfectly fine. I mean, I understand why that doesn't appeal to a lot of kind of average consumers. I think that makeup gets such a bad reputation because it's seen as frivolous and it's seen as really dumb, I guess, to have a large makeup collection. Whereas, and I've talked about this before, people collect all sorts of things, maybe things that are not seen as frivolous and shallow, and they don't get as much hate for it. Just because maybe purchasing that amount of makeup would put you into debt doesn't necessarily mean it would put someone else into debt. You know, maybe that's just how someone chooses to spend their money, and it's not really anyone's place to judge them for it. If it's not your thing, then I guess just don't watch it. I don't know. That's kind of my 2 cents. I just feel like there's a lot of judgment that comes from kind of like my niche of YouTube of, you know, low buys and spending less, and just because spending less on makeup or going on a no buy or a low buy was good for you and was what you needed to do for your financial situation, that doesn't mean that everybody's situation is the same. And, you know, there's a reason why YouTubers have such large collections, and it's because that they are successful because they review new products. I mean, I'm sure there are tech YouTubers that have tons of tech gear in their houses because it's kind of their job to review new tech products. I don't know, do they get hate for that? I don't really watch a lot of tech channels on YouTube unless I'm like trying to figure out my own camera situation. But I don't know, I feel like there's a bit of a double standard, and maybe, I don't know, you guys can let me know if you think I'm like way off base here, but it's not just the makeup industry that is constantly releasing new products all the time. You know, the gaming industry, the tech industry, the car industry, the fashion industry, that's kind of just, that's what every industry does. Brands aren't people, and people need to start realizing that. 100%. I almost forgot to do my brows because this is what happens when I do my makeup out of order like this. I completely agree, and when brands start selling in China, people are like shocked It's like, oh my god, I can't believe this company is so driven by money that they would choose to sell in China. Like, yeah, the reality is not pretty, but that is kind of the way that companies work. Their number one goal is their bottom line. You can support small indie brands. That's kind of what I try to prioritize, is just supporting smaller businesses. I still purchase from big mainstream companies, but I also try to support smaller indie brands as much as I can. And the thing is, a lot of small indie brands, like I feel like Burt's Bees is a good example. They started out as like a tiny company that sold at farmers markets, I think, and now they're owned by, what is it, Colgate or Clorox or something. They're owned by, you know, a larger parent company. They're sold in every store now. They would no longer be considered a small business, and that's kind of the reality of our society, is that when a company starts to become more successful, they are inevitably going to get bought out by a larger company, because that is the profitable decision. And is that not to say that some companies are not more ethical than others? Of course not. I mean, like I've said before, I feel like brand ethics kind of exists on a spectrum. No brand is perfect, and we all just kind of have to do the best we can. Okay, this one just made me laugh. It's not even really a hot take. Like, nobody's gonna be like, whoa, that's so controversial and polarizing. But it just made me laugh, because I feel like it might be directed at me. I'm not sure. I've definitely been guilty of this before, and I'm not gonna stop anytime soon. But it says, don't like when people stop to talk to their pets, especially baby voice on video. Yeah, I definitely don't do this as often as I used to, just because now when I film, I have like my own dedicated filming room, and I usually close the door. The cats are usually out, you know, in the living room or something. But if the cats are in here, yeah, chances are I'm probably going to talk to them at some point, because they're adorable and I can't help myself. And if you think that anytime you've heard me talk to my cats on camera is bad, you should just hear me when I'm not trying to like rein it in, because alright, so the look is finished, which I think means we will go ahead and wrap it up there. For the eyeshadow, if you're curious, I'm wearing Dawn in my crease as a transition color, which is what I pretty much always do when I use this palette. And then I put Destiny pretty much on the inner like 2/3 of my lid. Axis on the outer third, outer V area. I think I used a little bit of Mercury in my crease as well, although I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I did though. It definitely looks like I did. Then I topped Destiny with Electric. That's pretty much the only way I like to use Destiny, is as a base and then kind of top it with some sort of glittery eyeshadow or something shimmery. So I either do that with Electric, or last time I topped it with one of the shades from the Stoned Vibes palette. That was really pretty. So yeah, I'm glad I found a way to use that shade. And then on the lower lash line, I did a mix of Untamed and Axis. I really like those colors. I love teal. That's one of my favorite colors of all time. And the shade Axis is beautiful, although it is a tricky shade to work with. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun filming it. It's always fun to just talk about unpopular opinions. Thank you to everybody who shared your unpopular opinions with us. I think it's always just a good reminder that makeup is so subjective. Different things work for different people, and that's just part of the fun of makeup. And then of course we also talked about some slightly deeper subjects as well. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would love to see you again very soon, and hopefully I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!